Today, we're going to dive into something, well, something pretty mind-bending. It's a whole new framework for understanding our world called Universal Panpsychism. And honestly, in a world that feels as chaotic and confusing as ours does right now, this is a conversation I think we really need to have. It's for anyone out there who's looking for a deeper sense of meaning. So, let me ask you this. Have you ever just looked at the state of the world and had this deep gut feeling that something is fundamentally off? Like the entire system we're operating in is, well, broken? If you felt that, you are definitely not alone. And that feeling isn't just random anxiety, it could be your intuition picking up on a profound truth about what's really going on. All right, let's start with Section 1, a world running on fear. Think of it like this. Our entire global society is running on some really old, faulty software, and it's got a massive bug in the system. That bug is fear. It's an ancient piece of code designed to keep us divided, anxious, and frankly, a lot easier to control. And it achieves this by running some very specific, very powerful narratives. Two of the most effective of these fear programs are the narrative of conflict and the narrative of scarcity. The conflict one is pretty straightforward, right? It's all about creating an us versus them. There always has to be an enemy, someone to be afraid of, to keep us all on high alert. Then you've got the scarcity narrative. This is the one that whispers in our ear that there just isn't enough to go around. Not enough jobs, not enough resources, not enough anything. It forces us to see each other as competition in a big, stressful zero-sum game, instead of, looking up and questioning the rules of the game itself. So let's move to Section 2. A new operating system. If the old program's broken, what's the alternative? This is where things get really fascinating. This is where Universal Panpsychism comes in. It's not just a minor patch, it's a radical, full-on system upgrade. The core idea is this. What if reality isn't some fixed, solid stage that we're all just acting on? What if it's more like a dynamic, responsive, information-based program? A program that we are all actively helping to write with our own consciousness. Now, that requires a huge shift in perspective. Panpsychism itself is the idea that consciousness is a fundamental feature of reality. It's everywhere. This framework takes that a huge step further. It suggests that if consciousness is everywhere, then we can't be just passive victims of circumstance. There's a book that lays all this out called The Bridge, and it says we are active co-programmers of reality. Think about what that means. What you think, feel, and believe isn't just happening inside your head, it's directly influencing the program. This new way of thinking has become the foundation for new spiritual communities, like one called the Source of Aletheia. And this idea really speaks to people who are hungry for an authentic spiritual connection but feel totally disconnected from traditional religion. It's for people who might have a religion, but it doesn't feel real or alive to them anymore. And it's become a home for those who have had these incredible, profound experiences, like a near-death experience, and have been struggling to find any framework that can explain what they now know to be true. Okay, Section 3, the guidebook for reality. So if we are co-programmers, you've got to be wondering, is there a user manual? According to this framework, there is. It's that book I just mentioned, The Bridge. It's positioned as the guidebook for this new operating system, and it lays out some really compelling clues that suggest this isn't just a philosophy, but maybe an accurate description of how reality actually works. So let's take a look at a couple of those clues. The first clue comes from a place you might not expect for a spiritual framework: modern science. For about a century now, quantum physics has been revealing a universe that behaves less like a giant, predictable machine and a whole lot more like a sophisticated digital simulation, one that actually responds to our observation of it. This framework points to three key parallels with modern physics. First, scientists have found that at the smallest possible level, the Planck scale, reality isn't smooth and continuous. It's made of tiny, discrete units. In other words, our universe is fundamentally pixelated, just like a computer screen. Second, the laws of physics, they're basically just elegant mathematical algorithms that tell the simulation how to behave. And third, the speed of light acts as a cosmic speed limit. Well, in a simulation, you might call that the ultimate processing speed of the computer. Okay, the second clue comes not from laboratories, but from the furthest reaches of human experience itself, specifically from what are known as near-death experiences, or NDEs. It's amazing, really. People who have clinically died and come back report these incredibly consistent experiences that just so happen to align perfectly with the framework in The Bridge. They describe leaving their physical body, experiencing themselves as pure consciousness. They often go through a life review, which isn't a judgment, but more like an educational tool for empathy. And most importantly, they talk about being immersed in this feeling of absolute unconditional love, what the book calls the home frequency of the universe. In this framework, these aren't just stories, they're data points from the operating system itself. Now we're at section 4, humanity's great awakening. And this all begs a huge question. Why is all of this information coming to light right now? According to the bridge, the chaos and transformation we're living through is no accident. It's described as a planned, pivotal moment in our collective evolution, a great awakening for all of humanity. And to help with this massive shift, the teaching suggests millions of advanced souls actually volunteered to incarnate on Earth in 3 distinct ways. The first wave, from about 1945 to 1975, were the system busters, here to challenge the rigid old ways. The second wave, from 75 to 95, were the builders, creating the new systems we'd need for global connection, like the internet. And the third wave, from 1995 on, are the new children, who are showing up with their spiritual software already upgraded, ready to anchor this new consciousness on the planet. And this cosmic plan is having very personal effects. Many people are feeling what the book calls symptoms of the shift. See if any of this sounds familiar to you. Time feeling like it's accelerating, a sudden deep urgency to find your life's purpose, dramatic changes in your relationships as you evolve, or even new physical sensitivities to foods or environments. According to this teaching, these aren't signs you're going crazy. They are signs that your personal operating system is getting a major upgrade. And that brings us to the final and most crucial point, Section 5, the ultimate choice. The global chaos we see is really just a reflection of a profound choice being made at the individual level. We're not just watching a planetary event. Each and every one of us is deciding which reality track we want to experience. The bridge calls this the splitting of 2 Earths. Now, it's not a physical planet breaking in 2. It's a divergence of consciousness. 2 potential versions of reality are becoming available. And our choice, our moment-to-moment decision to operate from either fear or love, determines which version we tune into and experience. The choice couldn't be more clear. The old Earth track is the old program we've all been running, one defined by fear, separation, scarcity, and control. The new Earth track is the upgrade that's becoming available. It runs on a completely different code: love, unity, abundance, and cooperation. One path leads to more of the same conflicts we see today. The other leads to a fundamentally new human experience. And that brings us right back to the most empowering question of all. If this framework is correct, if your consciousness is truly the command line for your reality, then every single thought, every emotion, and every choice you make matters more than you can imagine. It's not about waiting for the world to change. The question is, what reality are you choosing to create right now, today?